beautiful sons of guns, and welcome once more to a video made by Panda. Today we're playing Tropico 4, I think. 90% sure it's Tropico 4, and we are, Tropico 4 is a game in which you are an island nation, just trying to float along in the Caribbean. Today, this is a Panda Does Things video, and remember, if you guys manage to get around 3 likes by the end of this week, then I'll make a series on this. So yeah, let's hop right into this. So first off, Tropico is very interesting in the fact that you don't build multiple cities like in Civ, and you like manage economy and stuff like that, which isn't really like, it actually sounds a lot more fun, or it is a lot more fun than it sounds. Sorry about that. So actually, yeah, I haven't done this for a while, so you know what, if you're feeling okay, post down in the comments, because I'd love to hear it. So in this Panda Does Things video, I will be showing you how this game works, how you can gain an economy, and then I will be just kind of seeing if you guys enjoy this. So first off, these houses are obviously stuff that will give you housing, so people will live in these, and these specific ones actually allow you so that you can have a farm in them. So they feed themselves, they do not require a grocery store. There is also the economy side of things, where you can do stuff like crops, like this. Now, what I'm going to show you right here is that if we grab a plantation and we can scroll through these things, these colors represent actually where it's most effective. So you see right here, cotton's really good, and coffee's really good, and normally like the drier things are okay right here, right? Now what we need is a plantation for pineapple. So we actually need a more foresty type area. So like over here is perfect for this kind of area. It's lush and it's green, which is the most useful thing when it comes to pineapples, of course. Right here we have a Teamster's office. Now these guys will rush the resources over to here, in which the construction workers will build with them. Now the Teamsters are the most important thing in Tropico. If you do not have enough of these guys, then the entirety of everything you do in this game will collapse. So you always got to look out for them. Normally by the end of the game I normally have 6 or 7 of them. Now, as you see here, because I made the plantation in the pineapple, which is what the quest wanted, Lord Oaksworth, who is our political advisor, will give us 4 options to improve our island nation. So like, I'll go through these. So treasury subsidy means that he will give us $5,000 on our island nation to help improve it, which is always a nice one to choose. For like on a ranking, I put this like 2 out of the 4. There's a personal gift, which I rank like 4. Basically, I'll show you after, there's a Swiss bank account, and there you can upgrade your governors. And that's always extraordinarily helpful, but it's more so a late-term goal than a starting goal. Now, in order to keep that Swiss bank stuff, you have to actually win the game, or you have to forcibly quit out of it yourself, or die in a horrible, gruesome death. Mainly your palace collapsing on top of you. You can do an additional mandate extension, which is the entire thing required to run this nation for the colonial era, which I'll show you possibly later. Then there's fresh colonists, which on my opinion is 3, because you almost never need more people. When you need more people is late in the game, where you just need housing and you just need people for the jobs. So I always recommend an additional mandate extension right at the start, because then you have 5 years to just mess around. And later quests tend to be kind of frustrating to get if you're not careful. Okay, so this is the governor screen, right? And as you can see, I am playing as communism because of all the dictator hats. I mean, I would find that quite interesting, but all these people have their own effect and a global effect. Now the global effect affects everything when you start the game, or when you just have them passively there. And they have a manager effect, which I'll show you after. So like, I'll show you right here, this guy right here, you can level him up with your Swiss account money, and now he increases wealth of 40% of the workers in the building instead of 20%, and he gets $4,000 when he starts the game, right? So I'll just do that right here. Okay, so you see right there in the top left, that is our news screen. That is the thing that actually lets you see what in the universe is going on. Now in your island nation, you'll randomly have stuff appear like fires and Sometimes it'll tell you when your docks come in and you get money. And that's always very useful to know. Sorry if I sniffle a bit, by the way, I'm a little bit sick, but it's fine. Managers. Okay, so when a manager is placed, or when you click on a building, like production-esque building, you will get a budget option, which is how much money you spend per second and a half, I believe. You'll have the amount of people that work there, you'll have the education required for them to work there, and you'll have the job quality, which isn't actually super important, but it's kind of important, wealth provided, which is super important, and then you'll have the manager. The manager, you can hire certain people, in this case it's just my government, but you can hire people to improve certain things. So like for instance, we can reduce pollution in the vicinity of this area by 15, which actually helps Pig Ranch. Now this is the fog of war of sorts, because unlike most games where fog of war is just kind of there permanently whether or not you discover them, this game is here in general. Now you can in fact relieve the fog of war by grabbing a soldier from a palace and clicking him in a random direction, okay? Now what this does is that he will march off in that direction. Now it is $1,000 and you can send him as far as you want. The only problem that comes with this is if you are attacked, he has to turn around and come all the way back. So I recommend doing it either at the start of the game or a little bit later once you've set up a guard tower or two. Now the fun thing about Tropico is that it has certain types of like goals almost for each era, okay? Now this first era here, we have to get that little thumbs up button to 50%, or in my case like 5, in order to create this series, or 3, I don't remember where I said it. I'll say it at the end of the video. Once you get it to 50%, then you have a chance to become independent, which actually is going away from the royalists, which is a faction, and I'll show you that. Now, right now, we're building a library because the crown graciously sent us $5,000. Now, the library is $6,000, so we'll go into debt a little bit, but it's fine. And this generates research points, but it requires, I believe, college-level citizens. So you can't just spam these, unfortunately. Will make research points, and the research points are extraordinarily helpful. You can do them. You can do a lot of things with them, really. So the library has been built, and now we get the option for research. Now research is really, really important, and it's actually kind of far away. So like, for instance, this will make it so that when you do research points, right, it goes straight into the Swiss bank account. Now, these are kind of like the end goal type things, but I don't know, it's just kind of pointless for me. You should be probably done by now, I feel. But luckily, we are just right here for now. So it kind of sections itself off. So like, for instance, in order to get to this, you have to research 2 of these. In order to get to this, you have to research like 5. So you can see it also says unlocked in World Wars. And when it is unlocked in World Wars, it means like, kind of like there's eras to the game. So I will explain that a little bit more later. Now, as you can see, the people have already explored outwards. And as they have explored outwards, they have discovered a location. And as you can see, the question mark's gone, and we've discovered a lot more beauty to this land than was originally thought of. So that's how exploration works. Now, as you can see, we can grab this. And this will generate research points depending on how much you budget it and how many people work in it. Now, if you have the standard budget for everything, the job quality is standard for everything, then you'll have a bunch of, and you have like 2 of the exact same job, right? But you want one in more of an area, you want one area than the other, then you can up the budget by a bit and they'll move from that area to that job. So that's always the beauty of budgeting. So these are edicts you can pass, and as a communistic government, I like to get wealth tax, because that way everybody's equal, and nobody can strike out. And I like to get extra rations, because it means that everybody can eat more, basically. So right here we see that since we have completed a revolution thing, we have 3 options. Now I'll list these again in my order of importance from 1 to 3. So import revolutionaries plus 3 educated citizens. Now the more educated citizens you have, the more revolutionaries you have, so they'll increase your approval, and in the future they turn into communists. I rank that 1 because it creates massive approval, like 3% approval every single time. Now this one, you trade routes with smugglers, I give that 3 because that's literally exactly what it says, and you almost never really need trade routes because if you can build an economy based entirely without trade, then you're good, because eventually you'll be taking sides, and you can't exactly take both sides in this game, and I'll explain that if we ever get to that sort of thing in a normal playthrough. Now the $4,000 is 2, I say, because very randomly you'll get a revolutionary thing done, and all of a sudden your economy will hit the ground and just grind itself into the dust. So this is always a nice little pick-me-up, right? And I did the $4,000 by accident. So now that we've researched a thing, in this case the sickle, now every single time you do that, Penultimo here will come and give you a like little, oh, we did it kind of thing. And they're always nice to listen to. I'm going to build a road from here to here so that they have a quicker route of transportation. Yeah, so this guard tower, what it will do is actually increase security too, because believe it or not, if there's a giant stone tower just next to your house, you're probably not going to rob a bank knowing that they'll shoot you at any moment in time. So, you know, it's always extraordinarily useful to have that kind of power next to your cities. So there's also the grocery and the Catholic mission. Now, if we want to improve approval quite rapidly, we can place down stuff like taverns and groceries in religious areas. Here we have made the country houses, which is in fact what was recommended to us. And now I'm going to show you exactly what happens at this. Okay, so right here we have built a tavern, and if you click on it, you can see that it requires beauty. Now, beauty can be gained in several ways, and the most easiest way to get it is to place it right next to some unspoiled water, because water is always nice to have. Another way to have it, which is basically artificial beauty, is that you can come into the entertainment environment, place down gardens, like for instance, this. Now you can also change the garden by pressing right trigger, and they'll kind of mess around and make some really cool looking designs. I'm going to place down a pool. And a row of trees. Now I believe the bigger that it is, the better it does, but I might be wrong. In this case we have made 3 parks which kind of work together, luckily. And because of that, the beauty has improved tenfold. And if we go into the effectiveness, you can see that's plus 25 effectiveness simply because of beauty, which basically just increases service quality. And we can also do that by increasing the budget, which will give it 150 effectiveness and 50 service quality, which is actually, I think, the maximum it can be. We also have the Catholic mission, and the Catholic mission is literally just a religious building of worship. Now, when you build something like this, remember, the more of these that you build, the more religious people you'll have at the end of the colonial era. So you gotta watch out for that, or else you can end up just getting destroyed by religious people, which actually are the hardest ones to appease when it comes to faction-related quests and ideologies and such like that. So, as you can see right here, we have stuff like mechanization and plantations, and what this does is just obviously what it says, at an increased cost, but it increases effectiveness. And effectiveness in plantations, for instance, is how much they can produce. So if you have 200 effectiveness, that's double than what they can normally make. So if we get mechanization, it decreases the amount of workers required by 2, which is a problem, but it gives plus 20 effectiveness, which is crazy because now it requires less people, so those people can be distributed elsewhere, and it increases the effectiveness by 20. Now, it can now produce 130% more better, and you can actually improve that by increasing the budget. So now that we have it maxed out to 96 out of 96, and we have the upgrades, and we have it in a good location, it is now at 157 effectiveness. So before, it may have been producing about like 200, and now it's producing a good 392, which is absolutely insane. That increases profit tenfold, even at the cost, because where it is taking 100 per second, it's actually creating 343 a second. Now, when it comes to the cattle ranch, these are just basically just really good for other farms. So for instance, this upgrade is manure fertilizer. So when we do this, this one right here will now have plus 10, 11 apparently, manure fertilizer upgrade. So now it's at 170 production, which is almost double it. And that's all the stuff you can do just from having plantations and such, which is I'm going to show you the factions just because we're almost at 100% approval. Now, first off, here's happiness, okay? So this is actually what I used to go by for the longest time. When you play the game, it is absolutely to the utmost importance that you get the happiness at the highest you possibly can, okay? Now, happiness does translate to approval, so if you have a huge amount of happiness, you have a huge amount of approval. That's what I thought for the longest time. But the problem is that I didn't realize we had factions. Now, as you can see here in the Independence tab, we have Royalists, which is 55 people out of the 100 on our island. That's about a half. And our Revolutionaries is just 21. So when you have a hated amount like that, and you have them absolutely decimating you, now in this era, it's different because you're trying to make it so that you can get to the next era, right? So they tried to make it a little easier. Now if you go into higher difficulties, you actually need like more revolutionaries to like you than royalists. And now royalists, when it says hated, so 10, that means 10% of them will vote for me for approval. So about like 5. Whereas revolutionaries, good standing, that means 76 of them will go for me, and they will anyway simply because they're trying to get out of the thing. So 21 supporters, 5 supporters, they lose 5, we have 27 or 6, and they have 50. That's basically how that works. So yeah, that's Tropico, and Tropico can be an extraordinarily fun game. Now of course, this is just what I'm doing, the basics of the game. But you know, that's kind of like the point of Panda Does Things, is to sit there, talk about a game, see if you guys are okay with me playing it, and then maybe possibly playing a game like this. Now, if we are to do this, and we do get 3 likes by the end of this week, I will upload the start of a new series for Tropico. But if you guys want a specific people, so once we get independence here, I'll show you what I mean. There is 2 factions that you can normally team with. You can go with communism, or you can go with capitalism. And capitalism starts out really hard, but gets really easy later. Hold that thought. This is natural disasters. let me just yeah. Yay! Jesus Christ! It just wrecked us! It came through, destroyed everything. Look at that! Oh no. Okay. Well, you know what? That's how Tropico goes. It's the roll of the dice and the thrill of what it lands upon. So, now we are ripe for evolution. You see that? So, if we go into military, now I suggest doing this every single time, but I suggest building a fort. Because, believe it or not, it's actually extraordinarily difficult to declaim independence because the government actually likes you, almost. Now, unfortunately, I cannot place anything there because it's too big, but I can place guard towers, which is the beauty of towers. But I mean, like, if they're gonna come in here and try and take us over via walking towards us, I'm gonna place down a bunch of guard towers. I mean, it's basically an eye for an eye right there. So we'll just quick build it all. Now, keep in mind that these actually do decrease liberty, so if you are going for capitalism, this isn't exactly the best thing to do. Especially so close to people. So, we'll declare independence. And we'll let them come. So as you can see, the royalists, or the king, has sent 3 of his strongest marines to come kill us. And unfortunately, they're not doing a very good job because it's 2 against 1 in almost every single case, except for the 1 on the end there. And we have our own infantry as well. This is what happens when you have infantry against towers. Now, I have a feeling the guy on the right over there will die because they are normally more powerful than the towers themselves, but we won't really know for a little while. So, there we go. So, we're at World Wars, and as you can see, the little pops up there to see what we can do in this era, and we get a constitution. So, for instance, if we're going communist, I'm going to go male citizens vote because there's less voters, and I don't mean to make it as a sexist remark, just as a fact that there is less genders in that situation. With religion and state, if we want to keep those 2 separate. So, like, if we go into atheist state, that means it'll be illegal to be religious. If we go secular state, that's what we are. It's basically, you can be religious and you can be atheist, but don't make it in our government. And then there's theocracy. And theocracy is basically the religious own the government. So we'll go with the atheist state because that's the communist way, and we'll do conscription because if you do anything else, high school soldiers is required. Well, this could not be a more perfect place to let off. If you like this video, please shove that like button straight up your ass. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. See you all guys at the beach. Bye!